Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Good to see you here. This is the third of our spring speaker series here at the Brock Community Health Center. We're happy to have you here. My name is Stephen Davis. I'm a resident of Beaverton, and I'm a member of the board of directors here at Brock CHC. Before we go too far into things, there's a handful of housekeeping items that I want to take care of. First, most important in any gathering, where are the washrooms? Most important thing to talk about. There is one right there out the door. There is one just down the hall to your left. And if neither of those are available, you just keep going and turn left, and you're going to come to two more. So there's 4 washrooms out there. So we are well covered for that. Second, if you are anything like me, the first thing that you noticed when you came in the room was the food. Okay, now it's there to be eaten, so don't be shy about it. Help yourselves, go up and get some food. The only thing we would ask is that you not get food while our speakers tonight are sharing, but the food is still going to be there when we end, so please feel free. Go and enjoy what we have there. The desserts are for me, but everything else is available to everyone. Now, third, at the end of the session tonight, we are going to be handing out evaluation forms, which we would invite you to fill out. We want to know how you enjoyed the presentations. We want to know your feedback about the series. I know that some of you have probably been to previous of the speakers series. How many of you have been to all 3? I'm just curious. Some of you have been to all 3. That's impressive. Still fill out an evaluation form for us, because of course this is a different presentation, so we want to have an idea of how things are going here. And really 2 last notes. First, membership application forms are available. So if there's anybody who is ridiculously inspired by what you see happening here tonight, you're welcome to fill out a membership form to become a member of the Brock Community Health Center. There's no charge for membership. It's a way for you to show your support for Brock CHC's work in the community, so we'd invite you to do that. This speaker series was designed, in a sense, to help us to engage the community and to show people that Brock CHC is about more than just primary health care or wellness programs. So we want to engage you and your friends and your neighbors in a variety of ways, so please fill out an application form. It's a way to keep up to date with what's going on here. And I would add that just for your interest, although there are no more speaker series until the fall, we hope, the annual meeting of the Brock CHC is coming up on June the 25th. Now, if you're not already a member, you wouldn't have an opportunity to vote at that meeting if you took out a membership from here on in, because the bylaws require you to be a member for 45 days before you can actually vote. But you could certainly come to the annual meeting, learn a little bit about how Brock CHC operates, and we have an interesting guest speaker who's going to be with us. His name is Brian Jones. His topic is, are we living longer or dying longer? And he's going to be reminding us that health isn't just about avoiding illness, it's about embracing life. So if you're interested, Brock CHC's annual meeting will be here on June 25th, refreshments at 6:30, business meeting at 7 o'clock, and Brian will be speaking around 7:30. So now on to the main event for tonight, and I want to ask you, please, I am always fascinated to know what tones people use on their cell phones, what ringtones they use. However, tonight is not the night for me to find that out. So if you happen to have your cell phone with you, please turn it off or silence it so that none of our speakers are going to be interrupted. We're also recording the session, and it's going to be posted on the Brock CHC YouTube page. Yes, we have one.
Excellent.
The Brock CHC YouTube page in, I don't know, a few days, something like that. Tonight's program is on planning for the future. All of us who are here tonight have something in common. We all have a future. You don't know how long it's stretching out before us, but we all have one. I'm familiar with an author named Alan Lakin, who was a time management expert. He wrote that planning is bringing the future into the present so that you can do something about it. So we have some speakers tonight who are going to help us bring the future into the present so that we can do something about it. And I'm just going to introduce them now. So from here down the table, this is Allison Tressell.
That is.
That's, I've got them wrong here. You forwarded to them not in the right order. I got to look at the names now.
Tammy.
This is Tammy Scarali. And Tammy is a financial advisor with Edward Jones in Uxbridge, and she is going to be talking to us tonight about estate planning. And then we have Allison Trussell, who is a nurse practitioner here at Brock Community Health Center. She's involved with the Geriatric Assessment Program. And beside her is Eileen Liu. She's the Director of Legal Services and Solicitor with Durham Community Legal Clinic. So she will be speaking tonight about powers of attorney. And then last but definitely not least is Angela Teal, who is a funeral director with the Mangan Funeral Home in Beaverton, and she's going to be talking about funeral pre-planning. So with all that in the rearview mirror now, let's look at the future. And Tammy.
All right, I'm up. It's my turn. Okay. Whew. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you can hear me okay. I got my mic on, right? Okay. I am a financial advisor with Edward Jones in Uxbridge, and I do a lot of planning with my clients, and part of that planning is always around having a proper estate strategy. When I sit down with clients, I ask them a lot of questions because I worry about clients. I think I'm a natural worrier, and I want to know who is important to them. I want to know what is important to them. I want to know what keeps them up at night. And I want to know questions like, what does money mean to you? You know, why do you have this money, and what does it really mean to you? And it naturally leads us into an estate strategy discussion. Not everybody wants to do it. Some people feel that mortality is a little bit too close in the mirror. I talk to very young people and clients that are 90 years old about having a proper estate planning strategy. And the reason for a lot of time people don't want to talk about it is they just really don't know where to start. It seems like an overwhelming job to figure out what my estate strategy is or what an estate strategy is. So I want to bring a little bit of peace of mind to people. And I think if I bring that to people, it gives me peace of mind and I stop worrying so much. So I'm going to put on my glasses because I'm a certain age. I definitely need readers. And I'm going to talk to you about what an estate strategy is. So it gives you control over your assets and how they're distributed to your heirs, and who you really want to receive them. So we have to think about we've acquired all this wealth and all of our whole life is dedicated to this. Who is important enough to think about sharing it with when we're gone? It helps preserve the value of assets by managing expenses and taxes. I have wonderful tax references with Heather Allison and many others, wonderful attorneys that I work with every day because I'm always wanting to get other professionals on board to help me make the best strategies for my clients. It helps to specify the management of your assets if you become incapacitated. We have a speaker tonight talking about what that might mean. And simply put, it's a well-designed estate strategy, helps bring confidence that your wishes will be carried out as you intend and ease the burden on loved ones. So the first thing we really want to talk about is, what do you own and what do you owe? So at the end of the day, we want to, the first step is to create a detailed inventory of what you currently own and owe. It provides me the opportunity to review the ownership structure of some of your assets, meaning beneficiaries potentially, but also who else owns the asset along with you. So really important that I understand that and that you have a detailed list of what you own and what you owe. Establishing some goals. So I work with clients all the time about having different goals. And we want to know what is important to you so that we can establish who you're going to leave your money to, if there's any charities that you want to leave money to or other institutions. Are you supporting any children or any person with special needs? And lastly, and I hate to bring it up, but it's about probate and reducing taxes if possible. So if I had a lawyer here, if anyone's a lawyer, they often talk about avoiding probate, and there's conversations about should that be done. So anyways, I'm not going to go into that. And then we want to develop your estate strategy, and we want to review your estate strategy. So once you know a lot of information, at that point, you're going to go to a professional. You're going to go to a lawyer, and you're going to talk to the lawyer about what you want to do in your will. Who do you want to inherit your assets, and who do you want to have control of giving your assets to your beneficiaries? So I ask clients, new clients especially, how many people have a will? I'm always surprised. You show your hands. I'm always surprised at people that don't have a will. Many people don't have a will, or they did a will 50 years ago, 30 years ago, before they had established their personal net worth, their emotional net worth. Maybe someone has passed away. Maybe there is someone that you don't speak to anymore. There's so many reasons that you want to review your will all the time. So when you go to your lawyer, you have to think about some important documents that you're going to have to, or it's important information that you're going to have to talk to the lawyer about. It's going to be who is going to carry out my wishes. So who is going to be your executor or your executrix? Who is going to make sure that what's important to you is carried out when we're not here to do it for ourselves? That person may or may not get paid for the job. I don't know if that ever comes up in conversations. It depends on how detailed the will is, but there is payment for executors that I can go into at another time, and what that might look like. And you're going to talk to your lawyer about how many executors should I have? Should I have more than one? And what happens if my executors live in a different province than I live in? So those are really important questions and conversations that you're going to have with a lawyer. And the other one is about who's going to inherit my property? Who am I going to give my property to? So the executor is going to make sure that whoever that is gets what you intend them to have, but they're also going to pay your last, all the debt that you owe. So that's really important job for them. They may actually have to apply for probate. That's another really important job. So I talk to clients about making sure that their executor or executors know that they're going to have a responsibility one day. I want to know who they are, because if you work with me and you have investment accounts with me, I want to know who is going to help me make sure that your wishes are carried out for one day. Does anybody have any questions so far? Okay, I didn't talk about questions. Beneficiaries. So really important to know what a successor annuitant is versus a beneficiary. So a successor annuitant is someone who's going to receive your assets, and it's typically a spouse, without taxation. So I'm going to give you an example. If you have a RIF or an RRSP, and you have your spouse as successor annuitant, everything is going to roll over to that spouse. No tax is going to be a consequence if you die and your spouse is a successor annuitant. A beneficiary is someone who's going to inherit your assets. So when you pass away, if you do not have a successor annuitant, there would be a taxable disposition at the time that you would talk to your fabulous accountant about. Very important for executors to make sure that before they pass out the contents of a will, that they remember there's going to be debts to be paid. You have to always remember that, because once money is given to a beneficiary, it's incredibly difficult to get it back. So you don't want to put yourself in that position. I was going to go one direction, and now I'm pulled back into another one here. So I'm just going to look at my notes. Okay. So I was at the senior center in Uxbridge years ago, and there was a fabulous lawyer there who's retired, Mr. Sador. And he said, I want you to think about a will. So when you go to a fair and they have that game where there's a claw and it dips into this big box, glass box, and it picks up a bear and drops it, and you get to go home with that. So if you have an RRSP or a RIF or a tax-free savings account, and you have beneficiaries named, the will is the claw. It's going to dip down, but it's not going to pick up a bear, because a will not dictate if you have a beneficiary named. So think about life insurance policies, right? As long as you have a beneficiary and it's an individual, that will not be picked up. But if it comes over to the bear that has principal residence, it's going to pick up the bear. And the will is going to dictate what happens to that principal residence. So you really need to think about, again, who is going to inherit everything that I own, and from a tax efficient way, naming beneficiaries on investment accounts is really, really important. Now, another lawyer that I work with closely, the concern that lawyer has is that if you name all your assets are in a registered account, you name a beneficiary on the account, but your will says that you're going to split your estate with several people. That's a problem. So that's why in my role, I talk to clients and lawyers to make sure that everybody's on the same page. Because the last thing your loved ones or people you care about are going to want to worry about when you're gone is making sure that your wishes are carried out exactly how you want them to be. Exactly how you want them to be. So it's always good to surround yourself with professionals, financial advisors, accountants, lawyers, family counselors, because I strongly recommend that you have open family conversations so that everybody understands what's important to you. I can't tell you, even in my own family, how families are ripped apart when people pass away, division of assets occur, and the pain of the family. They break up. It's like I never had that sister. I never knew that brother, because there's information in the will that wasn't expected. It gives your loved ones a chance to be open and honest with you and say, why would you do that? Please explain to me why there's a division of assets that aren't equal. Because equal doesn't always mean fair, right? There's reasons that we make decisions. So I strongly encourage family communication so that everybody's on the same page and knows the expectation. We have a wonderful resource tonight talking about your funeral arrangements. Fabulous. I know exactly where my clients want to be. Barb wants to be with you in Simcoe County. I know exactly where that's going to be, because I want to know as much as I can about my clients, because I want to help them as much as I can. So I brought some brochures. How am I doing on time? I'm okay. I brought some information on estate considerations, estate planning information as well. And I'm going to leave them back here. Please take them so that you have some information to lean on if you have questions, or if your family has questions around having proper estate plans and naturally a will. If you die without a will, that's not good. It's not the most fun thing to go through for the family. So wills are maybe a little bit more expensive than they were 35 years ago, but they're going to benefit you immensely and your loved ones immensely, more than us, our loved ones immensely, because we're going to really understand what you wanted, to be able to help when we're not here to help ourselves. Eventually, one day, far into the future, that will happen. Anyway, thank you so much. I wanted to be quick and precise, so I hope I haven't confused anybody. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to take a few.
Actually, we'll do a question and answer session
Perfect.
when everyone has spoken. That way we have a little better understanding how much time we have.
So I can rest my throat.
You can rest your throat for a little bit.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate being here.
So thank you, Tammy and Allison.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you.
Hello all, thank you for having me here tonight. So my name is Allison, I'm a nurse practitioner and I work with the Geriatric Assessment Program. And Jen asked me to come tonight to speak with you a little bit about what we call consent and capacity. And those are things we talk a lot about in healthcare. Can you hear me or am I too fast? Step closer? Okay, I can see at the back, I'll try. So we talk a lot about consent and capacity in healthcare because those are very important terms. So I want to go over just a little bit about what they mean. So consent is a decision by a patient or by their SDM to refuse a treatment or to refuse a plan of treatment after they've been provided the information about the illness. And healthcare practitioners are always required to get consent before we do anything for a patient. And capacity is what becomes very important. In Ontario, we have two different legislations for capacity. We have it under the Healthcare Consent Act and under the Mental Health Act. So I'll speak more to the Healthcare Consent Act today while we're here. And when we talk about capacity in terms of the Healthcare Consent Act, that's the ability to understand the decisions that you're making for yourself. So it's the ability to understand and appreciate the consequences of a treatment or not taking a treatment. It always has two branches. It's the understanding and the appreciation branch to it. So in order to understand, you need to have the cognitive abilities to be able to understand what we're presenting to you. So if I'm going to tell you I'd like to give you antibiotics for a wound that you have, you need to understand what that means. Then if I'm going to tell you what the risks are of the antibiotics and the risks of not taking the antibiotics, you need to be able to appreciate those two things and apply them to your own self and to your own choices. And the reason we want to talk about that in healthcare is that there's different times when our capacity might change. So we always want to talk about capacity in terms of it being very fluid. So there's times when we become very ill and we might be admitted to a hospital and we'll be very sick with a delirium or something that affects our ability to think clearly. And in those moments, we might not be capable of making our own decisions. There's also illnesses that we have, such as dementia, that can affect our ability to make capable decisions. And those are then decisions that we will have to pass on to our SDM or our power of attorney to help us make those decisions. As a healthcare provider, we're always going to try to preserve a person's autonomy as long as we can. We want to try to make sure that they're able to be a part of the decision-making process. We want to be able to make sure we're educating them, working with them through the decision-making process and helping them with their capacity. We will always assume that patients are capable of making their own decisions until it is unreasonable to do so. We don't ever want to remove a patient's capacity because we know that that has significant impacts on themselves and on their caregivers. So those aren't decisions we would take lightly. We would do that quite seriously. But if we were to apply it to an illness like dementia, we know things like dementia are very progressive illnesses. So there's likely going to come a point where someone won't be able to make those decisions and have the appreciation part to the decisions that they're making for their health care. So some common decisions that we're going to be making in healthcare, where our capacity is going to be very important, is making a medical treatment decision. So for example, do I want to accept the treatment for the wound? Do I want to accept the treatment for my high blood pressure? What are the risk factors if I don't take them? Another very common one is deciding on placement to a long-term care home or to a group home. So some people, as we progress, we might need placement in Lakeview Manor, in our long-term care homes that are around us. And then we have Ontario Health at Home come, and they will do an assessment to help us determine if we're capable to make those decisions. We also have to be capable to make the decisions to appoint someone to make decisions when we can't for us. So what can be done for someone who isn't capable? And this sort of goes back to a lot of what Tammy was talking about in terms of planning. This is where we want to start to plan ahead, particularly if we know we have illnesses that are going to affect us or that are going to take away our ability to make those capable decisions. And we want to start to identify people around us who can help us. So I think there's someone here who will be talking a bit more about power of attorney. But once we know, and all of us, I hopefully have done power of attorney paperwork, where we've identified those people who can help us to make those decisions and to step in when we can't make those capable decisions. If we haven't done a power of attorney that's designated, then in Ontario we have the SDM Act, which is the Substitute Decision Makers Act. And the substitute decision maker would then step in through the hierarchy of the Act and make the decisions for us. So again, this goes back to planning, like Tammy was talking about, because what we want to do, knowing these things, is we want to start to think about our advanced care planning. So we want to have a conversation with our family, with our friends, with our loved one, about what we would want to do. So that if we're not capable of making those decisions for ourselves, our loved ones who are helping us in those times can support us through those decisions so that they know ideally what they would like to have done. I brought some resources with me tonight. Advancedcareplanning.ca is an Ontario-based website. That's a fabulous website to help walk people through those decisions. Advanced care planning is something that we should always do, have a good discussion with our family members around us while we're doing it. And it's a lifelong process. We're going to take into effect when we're thinking about what we want done for our healthcare. We're going to think about our values, about our beliefs, about our preferences, about all the different goals that we have. We're going to reflect on what's important to us, what's important to our healthcare decisions, and we're going to have those discussions with our family members. So it's a good way if there's a healthcare emergency and you're not able to make that decision, your substitute decision maker or your power of attorney will have an idea of what goals you would like. So how advanced do you want to go in terms of healthcare treatment? Do you want CPR? Do you want those sorts of things? And that's what your advanced care planning is going to help you to do, so that your loved one in a time of distress or illness isn't making decisions for you. They're making the decisions that you've already had a discussion about. And it just helps to smooth that transition and to help make the decision process ensuring that it's reflective of what your goals are. So advanced care planning isn't limited to older adults or those with serious illnesses. It should be something that we do with everybody. Anyone of any age could have an illness or an accident that could take away our ability to make our decisions. So we should always be talking about what our advanced care decisions would be. Advanced care planning would be reflecting upon what matters most to you in your life and what matters most to you for your healthcare decisions. Discussing those wishes with your families, your friends, your healthcare providers. So making sure those people who would make decisions for you, if you couldn't, are aware of what your goals are and are aware of what you would like. And documenting those preferences if you can. So it's a good chance to sit down and go, this is what I think I would like and this is what I would want to do. All right, then we'll have next.
Hello? Hello? Okay. Here. Okay. Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me here. My name is Eileen Liu, and I am the Director of Legal Services at Durham Community Legal Clinic. Hello? Hi. Yeah. So my name is Eileen Liu. I'm the Director of Legal Services from Durham Community Legal Clinic. Thank you so much for inviting me here. So today I will very briefly explain what are POAs, why they are important, and some mostly common mistakes or misunderstanding and practical issues. So maybe you already know that what is a POA. I was just wondering if anybody, have everyone have already have POA signed. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So POA is power of attorney. Attorney want to distinguish that attorney does not mean a lawyer like in the U.S. Power of attorney is just a legal document where you give somebody the authority you trust. Give somebody you trust, give the authority to make decisions when the time comes that you are not able to make decisions. So for the person to make a decision on your behalf in your best interest. So one thing that when you use legal, it's a legal document. Doesn't mean that you give a POA that you are signing off all your legal rights. It's just a legal document. You give somebody, you assign somebody to make decisions on your behalf when you cannot make decision on your own. So that's generally speaking. So in Ontario, there are two kinds of power of attorney. One is property power of attorney, so such as to manage finance, pay bills, banks, dealing with CRA, pension, investment, etc. It also includes the situation where, for example, you are busy, you're enjoying somewhere, and you have a transaction of a property in another province or places that you are not able to do. And then in that particular POA, you make it very specific for this person, this time, for this specific matter only. So that's the power of attorney for property. Another power of attorney is for personal care. Like friends already mentioned, that's called power of attorney for personal care. For the person to make decisions, make choices for you in terms of health care, long-term care facilities, health and safety, etc. So one misunderstanding is that some people may think that once I sign POA, I give up all my rights immediately. The person who are holding the POA will make decisions for myself. That is not actually the case. So when you see doctors, right? So sometimes, a lot of times, doctors won't use POA. Even you have the POA, that the doctors won't say. The reason that, as our friend mentioned, we presume, adults are presumed to be capable of making decisions themselves. Even you have POA, the doctors will treat and listen and respect your decisions first, without just jumping to the person who are holding the POA. So when to make a POA? So it's not necessarily to make POA, approaching some time. The earlier, the better. Is best practice to make the decision. Who can make decision for you when the times you're not capable of making decisions when you're still healthy. So that will in advance take proactive actions to make sure to reduce the stress. So for personal care, for example, power of attorney, if you already have the personal care power of attorney, right? So you're still making decisions. And maybe you cannot, taking care of yourself, but doesn't mean you cannot make decisions. So the most important is that you have this in safe side, a peace of mind, that when at the times that when the doctors need, find that have some doubts, and then someone can know you, know your choices, and your best interest will act for you. Another thing I want to mention is that some people may say, to sign the POA, why my children can be my personal power of attorney but cannot be witnesses. The reason is that we want to make sure that the person to protect the autonomy, to make sure that there's no undue influence. Because in reality that we understand vast majority of the situations that the family members or friends are really taking care of us. In some cases, there are some cases that will be, unfortunately, financial abuse or misunderstanding, use of the bank money, or transfer of property titles without consent or knowledge of the elderly. So that's why it's very important when signing the document, we have very specific rules and laws to protect the person who giving this authority away to another person, trusted person. When they are signing the document, they know what they are giving away, what kind of property they have, what kind of decisions they want the person to make for them, and they are confident that this person will make the best choices in their best interests. So at our clinic, we provide free legal services for low-income residents. So as long as you are Durham region residents and low-income. So by low-income, we apply the legal aid. We are legal aid-funded legal clinics. So by low-income, we apply the same rules as legal aid. So for elderly, especially if you are on old age security, and with guaranteed, so GIS, guaranteed income supplement, you are eligible. So if you are eligible, feel free to contact us. Or if you have any questions regarding power of attorney, if you already signed and you want to revisit, or you have any questions, feel free to contact us. And our clinic actually have a partnership with Burke Health Community Center. And thanks so much for the wonderful partnership and support. We are able to provide on-site service on the second and third Thursdays every month here at the health center. So I already left some contact information, our flyers, flyers and business card. So you can reach us by phone call, just leave a message or call us. We have wonderful front desk and you can ask questions. They will triage over there. So in addition to power of attorney, we also have other legal services available there. So feel free to contact us. I think that's it. Yeah, thank you.
Hello. Can everybody hear me? Okay. Okay. So good evening. My name is Angela Teal, and I'm a licensed funeral director from the Mangan Funeral Home in Beaverton. And I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today about prearranged funerals and why planning ahead is one of the most caring and practical decisions a person can make for themselves and their family. As funeral directors in Ontario, we are governed by the Funeral, Burial, and Cremation Services Act, which is designed to protect consumers and ensure transparency, dignity, and accountability in funeral services. Tonight, I would like to discuss what prearranged funerals are, the protections against Ontario law, the benefits to families and the public, financial and emotional advantages, common misconceptions, and why planning ahead provides peace of mind. So, what is a prearranged funeral? I'm sure everyone probably knows what a prearranged funeral is, but just to clarify, a prearranged funeral is the process of making funeral arrangements before death, selecting cremation, burial, or alkaline hydrolysis, It's also discussing your wishes and collecting your personal information, and that will be used at the time of your death. These decisions would include your choice of visitation and service, music, readings, clergy, flowers, and stationery. We'd also collect cemetery information or assist you with cemetery information, the selection of a casket or an urn, obituary preferences, and financial arrangements. So in Ontario, you may pre-plan only, which is coming in and a funeral director collecting all of your wishes, or you can prepay, which is funding the services in advance through a trust or insurance company, which is arranged through the funeral home. Ontario legislation allows consumers to do either of those. So under Ontario law, funeral establishments must be licensed, funeral directors must be licensed, consumers must receive clear contracts and price information. Funds paid in advance are protected under strict regulations under the Funeral, Burial, and Cremation Services Act and are overseen by the Bereavement Authority of Ontario. Consumers also have the right to cancel or change prepaid contracts before the services are provided. They have the right to transfer prepaid funds to another licensed funeral home. They have the right to receive copies of written contracts and the right to transparent pricing, which means no hidden fees. Everything should be explained to you in detail so you know what you are paying for. Protection for prepaid funerals are held in trust through insurance companies. So I just have a few things here I'd like to mention to you about why prearranging matters. It reduces emotional stress on families. When a death occurs, families are grieving and often very overwhelmed. Without arrangements in place, loved ones may need to make difficult decisions quickly, including the final disposition, the type of service, there's always financial decisions as well, and religious considerations. Prearranging removes uncertainty and allows families to focus on supporting one another instead of making stressful choices. One of the greatest gifts a person can leave behind is a clear plan. Prearranging also ensures personal wishes are honored. Every individual is unique. Prearranging your funeral allows people to personalize their funeral, reflects on their faith and their traditions. They'd be able to select their own music and readings of their choice. They would be selecting their own disposition preferences. And they can express their personality and values. Without a plan, families may be uncertain about what their loved ones truly wanted. Prearranging also allows financial protection and cost control. Like everything, funeral costs, they'll increase over time. Many prepaid arrangements allow families to lock in with today's pricing. It will protect against inflation. You can also have the option to spread out your payments over time. Prepaying will reduce future financial burden on loved ones. Ontario legislation requires prepaid funds to be safeguarded through trust accounts or insurance companies. There is also consumer protection through the Prepaid Funeral Service Compensation Fund in Ontario. Prearranging also helps prevent family conflict. Sadly, as mentioned, a lot of disagreements occur after death. Families may differ on what their loved one wanted, so there could be conflict with the burial decision, religious, spending decisions, locations of services. Written prearrangements provide direction and reduce confusion and conflict during an already emotional time. Prearranging will also give families time to heal. So when the arrangements are in place, families can avoid those rushed decisions. Important details are already organized. Necessary paperwork is easier to manage, and survivors can focus on grieving and healing. Planning ahead is not only about preparing for death, but it's also about caring for the people left behind. In many ways, funeral pre-planning is similar to preparing a will or purchasing insurance. It's an act of responsibility and care. I've heard many common misconceptions of prearranging a funeral. A lot of people think that I'm too young to plan ahead. Unexpected illnesses or accidents can happen at any age. Planning ahead is not age specific. Lots of people think that their family already know what their wishes are. Many families believe this, but after death, uncertainty often arises. When instructions are in front of us, there's no doubt on anyone's mind. A lot of people think that if they prearrange, it means that they lose control of their money. Ontario law provides protections for prepaid funeral funds in written contracts. As previously mentioned, consumers have the right to review, change, or cancel any prearrangements before the service is provided. I also wanted to mention to you the role of the funeral director. So as funeral directors, we're not simply service providers. We are licensed professionals, we're educators, we're guides for families during difficult times, and we're responsible for ensuring legal and ethical standards are met. Our role is to help families make informed decisions with compassion, transparency, and respect. In closing, death is one of life's certainties. Yes, it's often one of the most avoided conversations. I hope I've helped you understand the importance of prearranged funerals by informing you of the importance of knowing it will help protect families emotionally and financially, ensure personal wishes are honored, provides peace of mind, reduces uncertainty during grief. Under Ontario legislation, consumers can have strong protections designed to ensure funeral prearrangements are safe, transparent, and respectful. The greatest gift we can leave behind to our families is not only memories, but preparation, guidance, and peace of mind. I also wanted to mention we did bring in some brochures tonight, so they're just over on the side table there, so you can help yourself. If we run out and someone didn't get one, just let me know. We can mail them out to you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you to all of you for some very practical and informative messages here tonight. We appreciated it. We have time available for questions, and I'm sure there are some questions out there. So I'm just going to ask you, if you have a question, raise your hand and let me know which of the speakers you're primarily directing the question to, and I'll come out with the microphone so that we can hear the question on the recording as well. So do we have any questions for anyone? We do.
Thank you. This is for Allison. You were talking about capacity assessment, and we're in a situation right now where my son and I have power of attorney over someone who is not able to make decisions for themselves. They're allowing us to look after the personal care, but the financial part of it, they want us to get a capacity assessment done. But we're struggling to get any answers, to find anybody. That I've sent out emails, I've phoned people, I'm not getting any answers.
And have you phoned formal capacity assessors in Ontario?
No. I don't think. Oh, hers. Okay.
I don't have the website with me currently, but there is a website through the Consent and Capacity Board that does allow a list of formal financial capacity assessors who will be able to be in touch to do that for you.
Okay.
I think in this area there is a bit of a wait list for it, but we have a list of resources that I can bring that up for you.
Okay, yeah, I knew there was going to be a wait. I'm just having trouble even contacting anybody.
Yes, and so what you'll do is you'll contact the person, you'll go on the list, and they can come and do a formal financial capacity assessment.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
If that's what you need.
Thank you.
Any other questions? We'll start here.
Okay. About the power of attorney, I've heard that you could do your own. Is that legal? Like you could, you can find them online and fill it out and whatever, the form, I guess. But that still has to be formalized, legalized.
It's a very good question. Hello, can you hear? Yeah, it's a very, very good question because it's a legal document and it's available online. There's a lot of forms you can use. Some people do it by themselves. Basically, it's your own authority. You give somebody, just tell everybody that this is a person I trust. I want him or her to do this thing for me. So legally, by the thank you so much. What a gentleman! Thank you so much. Okay, boss. So, however, like I said, it's very important that people's autonomy be respected. and we want to make the law, Ontario, want to make sure when people are doing this, they know and they are free from undue influence. So there's specific rules. That's why it's recommended to do before a lawyer, because there are specific rules. Witness is one example. So there's specific rules during the process. The legal document maybe looks a lot similar. You may make some changes, but when you make some changes, there may be some implications, and how you execute it also will, if it's not you do it by yourself, it happens that you haven't followed exact rules. For example, witness rules. Some people are not allowed to be the witness. For example, power of attorney themselves, or the people of interest, or the spouse of the power of attorney. They are not allowed to be the witnesses. So so that will basically make sure, you want to make sure this document is valid, will be respected. Right. Yeah, so if it's open, be more vulnerable to be challenged.
So it has to be done, it should be done.
Recommended.
Yeah. Recommended. I can't even talk. That we use a lawyer.
Yeah, to review the document,
yes,
and execute it properly.
Okay, so how do you find a lawyer?
Yeah, like I said, I'm a lawyer. I'm the one doing that.
Right, but we're not low
Gotcha. Yeah.
income. I mean, we're not
right.
rich either.
Yeah.
We're just, yeah.
Right. So Law Society, all the lawyers in Ontario are regulated by Law Society of Ontario. Right. Law Society of Ontario has a list. You can go online. It's called the Lawyer Referral Services. The exact word is Lawyer Referral Services. You can call them. You can fill up online. When you fill up online, you can choose the person near you, right, or maybe have similar background, and then the person you like, and then choose the person who can do the power of attorney. It's a very good question.
Yeah, good question. Okay. For Angela, is that? So if someone came to you and did the pre-arrangements, and the situation changes and you move elsewhere, did I understand that you can transfer that to a funeral home that's close to you?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
I think I saw a hand back there.
I've been having some conversations with our daughter about our online banking, and she's our power of attorney for personal care if anything happens to my husband, because I still have my husband here. But one of the things that we are concerned about is, online banking. You have all kinds of pre-authorized payments set up. You've got online banking passwords, and we've been talking about, if our daughter needs to help in any way, shape, or form with banking, is there any suggestions on what's a safe way to share those passwords? And not that I'm distrusting my daughter, but I don't want to put it on a computer. I don't want to put it on my phone, because we know what could potentially happen. Have you heard of any suggestions on how to manage that?
I have a small book. Metal case. Nobody by my phone. You need the microphone. I have a small book in a metal case, but on the table by my phone. If somebody really wants to find my passwords, they're going to have to go digging. And they're going to have to go through multiple pages with abbreviations, not just passwords. So it's really, I make it difficult for anybody coming in. My daughter is going to know, because she knows me really well and knows that I'm a little off the wall. Oh yeah, that's Mom. So I do it that way as opposed to leaving passwords, because every once in a while you get 5 of your different sites or whatever. Change your password. So that's what I do.
Add to that a little bit? Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, you go ahead. Do you have a legal answer? Jump into that, because I was going to offer that thought myself.
I'll say that again. I'm interested.
Okay.
Yes, just multiple different
Yeah.
ideas is helpful because
Yeah.
that was a very good one with the book, which we have thought about. And my daughter has a safe in her house, and we thought I could write everything out and give it to her that way. And it's even pre-authorized payments. Like, who are your pre-authorized payments that you need to change, and what are your passwords with the your Enbridge and Viridian,
Absolutely.
and so I'm interested in any suggestions. Thank you.
Yeah, there's passwords for social media as well that you have to think about. While you're alive, your options are limited on where you store that vital piece of information. There's lots of great suggestions. It's really important. Sorry. That if you have Face ID and it's not actually a password, that presents a big problem if you are not around to show your face, right? So I strongly encourage you not to use Face ID for that specific reason. But storing passwords and making sure that they're updated regularly is a really great idea. With my clients, I take all their passwords and I have them all on file. And when they come in for reviews, we review those passwords. Have they changed? Where do we need to make updates? Because if it's an executor or a power of attorney that is in control of my client's accounts, I want to be able to help them as best I can. And if I have those passcodes, I'll be able to provide them to the loved one. So that's what I do for my clients. But really, excuse me, try not to use Face ID, as convenient as it is, and it is very convenient. Make sure you have a detailed list of your passwords, including social media passwords as well. And unfortunately, there isn't a really clear answer on a great storage for it, but doing the best you can, hiding it, putting it in a locked box, you're doing as much due diligence as you possibly can, but entrusting, if you have a financial advisor you trust, it's great that they can retain a copy of that for you as well.
Would it not make sense just to give those passwords to your lawyer to keep on file?
Potentially. Every time you work with a lawyer, what typically happens, they charge you.
Yeah.
Right? They charge you every time. If you change multiple passwords in a year and you notify your lawyer for every one of those changes, you can do it.
Gotcha. Okay.
You can absolutely do it. State will be zero. And then I would also suggest, how do they store it? How do they will they store it? Now, what I will say though is when you do a will, you definitely want to include passwords in your will. Very, 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 very important to include those passwords in your will. If you change passwords and you have a will, your lawyer can prepare an addendum to update the information. But definitely speak to your professional, your lawyer, about their services and the extent that they can go to prior to your passing.
Okay, thank you. And a question for Angie. Is there some sort of a standardized fee schedule for funeral services?
For prearranging?
Yes.
So it depends on the services selected. It depends on the services selected for the cost, but to come in
even to just do prearranged funerals without prepaying for those services. There's no fee to the funeral home just to come in and have us collect your information. You can eat all the desserts that way.
At what point does probate happen?
So probate happens at a certain net worth. Thank you. Probate will occur at a certain net worth. If you're with an investment institution, it's typically $50,000. That's so a will would have to be probated. For a non-registered account, I have to preface that. Anything above $50,000. That's sort of the starting point. If you have a registered account, right? So I talked about registered accounts with a named beneficiary. They bypass probate. So if you have $1 million in an RSP and you have named beneficiaries, it will bypass probate. Not final estate tax, so don't misunderstand, but probate. Does that help at all? If you have more questions, I'm happy to answer them at any point.
Any other hands?
What's the difference between you and a bank?
The question is, what's the difference between a bank and Tammy?
Wow. Wow. Is a banker the same as a lawyer? Is that a bad thing? No, I'm just kidding. The biggest difference, I would say, is that I help clients with planning. It's not just about investments. It's about planning properly for someone. Now, I own my own business, so when you come to me, it's very important that you will always see me. Now, if you work directly with the bank, how many people have established fabulous relationships with the bank and the manager, and then they move on to other banks or other towns or other provinces, and the new people don't know anything about you, right? And none of them are really thinking about proper planning for you beyond the services that they can provide at a bank level. So that is the biggest difference, is that I do holistic planning for clients, encompasses a large reach of different services, and you meet with me when you come in to see me. So I know exactly who you are, I know who you love or don't love, depending. And that would be the biggest relationship difference, particularly with me.
Okay. Excuse me.
Thank you. I guess this would be a question for Allison and Eileen. And you mentioned briefly about capacity assessment and that there's a formal process, or there's assessors who assess capacity. If you can elaborate a little bit on that. And sort of a second part to that question would be, you explained that there's always the going in position that the person in consideration does have capacity, that they are able to make their own decisions. And can you talk a little bit about where there's where that capacity is questioned, and how that tipping point is managed? Obviously there's an assessment process, but I'm sure there's other things that go into determining where capacity comes into question, with that presumption that of course you do have it going in.
So as healthcare providers, when we are proposing a treatment to you, we always have to have the discussion and help us get an understanding of how well you understand and appreciate the treatment. So we're going to say we're going to treat something for you, and we're going to have that discussion to see how you understand what we're taking in. Can you repeat it back to me? Can you tell me what it is? Then can you tell me how that treatment applies to you? If I'm starting to maybe question your ability to understand or appreciate that, if I'm like, well, you don't think that not taking the medication I'm recommending is going to harm you, then that's when I would start to question your capacity. We would then go forward to do potentially formal capacity assessments. There's also formal capacity assessors in the community who are typically members of a college, like an occupational therapist or a social worker, and they can come in where it's questionable. So if as a healthcare provider, if as a nurse practitioner or a physician proposing a treatment to you, if it's a bit unclear to us and we're not sure, then we will bring in a formal capacity assessment, and we will do it that way. If it's very clear that you're not understanding, then that's when we start to talk about power of attorney and the substitute decision maker for who can take over and do it that way. I don't know if you had anything else to add.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. So capacity. So back to the two kinds of power of attorney. For power of attorney of care, personal care, even you have it, like I said, unless the doctors or the healthcare providers find that there's the patient is incapable, generally they will still let you make the decision. Even you have they won't jump to the person who are holding the POA. But the capacity in property sometimes it's a very tricky part when you're drafting signing your POA for property. So for property, there are two kinds of property: continuous and general. So when you're signing the POA for property, actually it's effective when you sign it. So at that time, unless you put in your POA specifically saying that the person can make decisions for me, this is power of attorney, this POA document will become effective once I became incapable. So if that's the case, and then when the POA wants to help make decision, and they have to find professional assessors to make assessment of capacity. Yeah. So thank you. Thank you.
We do have time for more questions if there are any. Was there one up front? Who? Right here. Oh, okay.
Is there probate on the trust funds? If you set up a trust? Thank you.
It depends on how the trust is set up. That's the short answer. It depends on how the trust is set up. So it's really important to talk to a lawyer. If you have a trust, if there's a successor annuitant built into the trust, because all of that will determine final taxation. So I would encourage you to really review the trust and then have a lawyer review the trust, because there could be. Yeah. You're better off to actually ask a lawyer than me right now about a trust, and potentially an accountant. Not you? Okay. Not you. A trust is an individual. It is actually an individual. So it has to do its own legal taxation every year. It could be passed on to additional people if it's within the trust. And it depends on what type of trust it is. Because there's multiple different types of trusts. So I'm happy to take that off after the meeting if you want to be a bit more specific about the type of trust you have. Okay, thank you.
Another question back here.
I want to know, I have 4 children, and I want to leave everything to quarterly. Is it better to sell my home while I'm alive than to leave it for the estate?
Okay, so if you sell your home while you're alive, what happens to the money that you get for the house?
Can I give it to my children?
Do you have enough money to live on if you were to gift it all away?
No.
That's the problem.
You know those Canada pensions?
Yeah. I do. So gifting is a really great strategy with what I call never money. I'm never going to need this money, ever. But when we don't know if we're going to need that money or not, we don't know if our health is going to get worse and we're going to need to endure more costs because of it. To sell a home just to avoid probate, I do not recommend. No. Now, if you were just to avoid probate, because it doesn't, whatever you do with those assets after you get them, is going to determine if probate happens on that money. So it's not that you're necessarily avoiding probate. By selling your home, you're giving, we're not taxed on our principal residence right now. I want to say right now, because I hate to think that we might one day. But once you get the monies, whatever you do with it determines the future taxation on that money.
If I gave half of it away,
Yep.
divided that up, and kept the other half for.
Yep. So that's a really great question that you're asking. So my clients come to me and they want to know a situation. What does that look like in real life? And all of my clients have a financial plan, and we look at exactly what that looks like based on additional spending in the future and what if scenarios as well, to make sure that you feel confident and I feel confident that you have enough money for the rest of your life for anything you want to do. My suggestion many times, depending on what that strategy ends up looking like, is gifting slower. Just gifting a little bit slower instead of gifting it all away, because it's very hard to get back when you gift the money, right? No matter what they say. No matter what they say. And I have a really great piece of advice, again, that Mr. Sador once told me is, it's not your children you need to worry about, it's who they're married to. Right? So you always have to remember that. But I would say, look at all the scenarios, look at all the what if situations to determine if it's the right thing for you to do. No problem.
Any other questions tonight?
Has there been a change in that principal residence? Not yet. Okay, not yet.
Principal residence?
Yes.
So a change in reference to taxation?
No, a change in that you can determine which residence is your personal one or your principal one, like if you have two?
There's no change, but
you can still decide.
You can still decide.
Like if there's two, you can decide it's not based on like the one you live 60%.
No. So when you do your taxation, you have to determine where your primary residence is, right? So Heather, I'm going to correct me if I'm wrong. You own your home for 25 years, and after 25 years, you decide that you want to make the cottage your principal residence. Is there taxation?
No.
Okay.
The principal residence is, you can have multiple properties. You can have, it's common with a house and a cottage or something, as long as it's not a rental property. It can be your principal residence. You only have to declare your principal residence at the time you sell it. Okay. So there's not a declaration each year, and you can only have declared it for 1 year in particular. So it is a concern if you have overlapping. If you have a house for 10 years, then you buy a cottage, so you have two houses for 10 years and you sell one of them, you would want to look at which one has the larger gain, because you can cover the gain on it. But for 10 of those years, they overlapped. You can only choose one of the properties for those 10 years. Yeah. It's a bit of a convoluted calculation, but that definition has not changed. It's still the same.
But
you can choose.
You can choose.
It would be an exercise of seeing which one has the larger gain. Yeah.
Okay, there is still time if there were some really good questions, by the way, but there's still time if there's any more. We'll go once, twice.
Can I ask a quick question?
As long as you're not expecting me to answer.
I'm not. Just curious on the pre-planned funeral costs. If you decide you don't want to work with that particular funeral home anymore and you want your money back, basically, is there a penalty at all?
The funeral home that holds the funds
of that funds. You don't have to, but you have to do that.
Okay.
If you wanted to transfer the funds after the time of death, then you get all the money transferred.
Okay. Thank you. I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you so much. I get asked that question. I have no idea.
I didn't see any hands going up from the audience, so we'll do the once.
Oh, behind you.
Sneaking up on me.
I just wanted to share about the passwords. The question about passwords earlier. What I use, or what we use, is Bitwarden. So I'm not on commission or anything for Bitwarden, but it's an app, and it's like a vault. So you can have it on your computer, you can have it on your phone. So you can, you could have 50 passwords and logins, whether it be emails or bank or anything. So of all the different things that I've tried over the years, I've been most happy with Bitwarden. Bitwarden. Works really well.
Oh, we have another question.
Speaking of that, I get into my bank account.
No, you
I have to hold it. Speaking of that password, I have facial recognition when I go into my bank account. So if I die, can you not go into the bank and solve it? If you, or was so, what do I? Couldn't the kids just go in and say?
Everybody hear that? Okay.
Well,
so she
I
has facial recognition. Sorry, I'll give you the microphone so everybody can hear you.
Okay. I have facial recognition to get into my bank account. So if I croak, what's going to happen? Can the family not go into the bank?
The family can definitely go into the bank and speak to the bank directly about the fact that you've passed, and they'll be able to receive information about your account. The bank will ask for certain information for sure, right? To make sure, like potentially a death certificate. They want to make sure that you have passed. As far as there's getting in to your social media, that's not the right word. Getting into your facial recognition with your app, I kind of think it dies with you, but the bank would be the better person to ask that. So if you can't get into an app because you have facial recognition, your executors will go to the bank directly and speak to them, and they'll be able to access. I can't speak about the bank process though.
Okay.
But it's a great question to ask them.
We are now getting complicated because I got a cord going through there. And
Okay, any other questions? Oh, we got one over. I'll see if this will reach. But I am not incredibly hopeful. I don't want to pull it too far.
You're doing good.
That's about it.
Angie, the death certificate, is it the funeral home that issues it? Okay. That's all I wanted to clarify.
You might want to answer that in there so people who didn't hear can hear.
I just had a question. I just came to mind. Is there any way you can go through, not have a funeral, and go through a funeral home when you die?
Yes.
So anyone who passes away has to go through a funeral home, whether or not you have a service or not. But the funeral home does need to look after the disposition if it's cremation or a burial and no service. But you do have to go through a funeral home. No, you can't.
I've always told my wife I'm composting her. I can't. All right. Any other questions? And don't you tell my wife I said that, Mary. Any other questions from anyone? All right. Well, that looks like we're at the end of the session for tonight then. And Tammy and Allison and Eileen and Angie, we thank you for being here with us tonight. We've got a lot of good information. And I know you're probably able to stick around for a few minutes anyway if there are people who have questions for you. And you're welcome to eat some of the food as well. Desserts, remember the rule. You're welcome to eat some of the food as well. And everyone, we got food that needs to be eaten. So thank you all for being here tonight.